This is KUGAN CASSIUS for Rifle TV in association with Mackinson Marbella. We're at the UK press conference here for Golovkin versus Brook. Good turnout.
Great turnout. It's kind of like there's been two turnouts like that I've probably been involved with as a promoter for UK fights. One was Joshua against Martin, and the other one was today. You can kind of feel the heat of the lamps of the cameras, and that's when you know it's big. The clicks. It's kind of like when you walk through that door. I do this with every press conference. You walk through and you go, like, sort of hoping for the turnout. And sometimes you walk through and you get a little twinge. And that was today. You know, you think, yes. And you look at Golovkin, you look at the belts, you look at Brook, and you just, you know, the heart starts pumping, the hairs on your arms just stand up that little bit more. And it's a pleasure to be involved with.
Is this the sort of occasion where you would wear a pair of £30 socks?
Have a look. Look at these green ones.
Well, you can't really see, but they're £30, yeah?
No, these are. I think these were like 15 quid or something like that.
Much better.
Yeah.
Much better. Listening to KELL Brook talk, he gave me a great quote earlier. He said, "I can't wait to be punched in the face from Golovkin."
I know, but that's. He keeps saying it like he's a bit fruitcake in the head, KELL Brook. Like he's one of those guys where. I mean, he says he has a YY chromosome. I've absolutely no idea what that means. I don't think Kell does either. But he has freak strength, and he's one of those freak athletes that, you know, when you see him train and you see his muscles popping out all over the shop, and when he's in a fight, a tough fight, he wakes up in the morning and he ain't got a mark on his face. Kind of like superhuman. And he's so excited about this challenge. And he won't go into this fight a beaten man. You know, a lot of people going against Golovkin, I think, with the fear of almost waiting to be hit. And I don't blame him, but I don't think Kell will have that. Like he says, he's going to be first to the jab, he's going to be first to the right hand, and he's going to try and beat Golovkin. And he certainly won't be beaten before he steps in the ring. And we are really confident about this fight. We know KELL Brook, we know the struggles to make 147 pounds. You know, seeing what he had to go through to get in that Porter fight, and watching him in the Porter fight and thinking, honestly, this is 60% of what KELL Brook can do. Seeing him spar at 11 stone 6, 11 stone 10, and just demolish light middles and middles with freakish power and punch power, and not really seeing that as a welterweight. So this, trust me when I say this will be an advantage to KELL Brook rather than a disadvantage. But he's fighting GENNADY GOLOVKIN. If he was boxing Daniel Jacobs or Billy Joe Saunders, would you have him as the favourite in that fight? Maybe. He's not. He's fighting GENNADY GOLOVKIN. But there are little things that I don't think GENNADY realises that could play a part. Could be the travelling. Could be the venue. Could be the worldwide hype and the focus and attention from the UK on this fight. Could be walking out to a few boos. They might not have any effect at all. Maybe he don't give a monkeys. But all these little percentages, and don't write KELL Brook off in this fight. This is a huge fight. This is the best welterweight in the world against the best middleweight in the world. 36-0, 35-0.
Do you know when you hear people go, Brook's in a win-win situation? Because if he beats him, he's where he is. Yeah. If he doesn't, he could drop back down to 147. He's got his belt and his profile goes through the roof. But is that how you think of things?
Not really. I mean, I always try and I plan out the future for my fighters. It's not a one-fight process because you'd be a mug to do that. But of course, you do think if we lose this fight, we're still IBF welterweight champion of the world. You've been involved in a huge profile fight. You've earned millions of pounds. But this is boxing. This is dangerous. You don't just think about those things. You think about this is a high risk, high danger fight. GENNADY Golovkin is a huge puncher, even for any middleweight. This is Kell coming up to middleweight. And I've known KELL Brook. This is my 14th fight with KELL Brook. He was one of the first fighters I've ever signed. I was there when the doctor pulled me to one side in Tenerife and told me this kid will never, ever be able to fight again. And he will never be able to train like he did with the same intensity. And I had to go back in that room and talk to KELL Brook like I didn't even have that conversation. And 3 months later, I see him in the gym working harder than ever, training harder than he's ever trained before, defending his world title. I've been through a lot with Kell Brook, injuries, getting pulled out of the Alexander fight, you know, the injury against Chavez, everyone coming out saying Kell Brook's a joke, Kell Brook won't fight anyone. You can't land the big fights for Kell Brook. We've been through this together. And now a fight comes where he takes the ultimate test. Just do me one favour, just give him the respect and get behind him. This is a kid from Sheffield who's trying to do something like his heroes did. Sugar Ray Leonard moving up to welterweight to fight Marvin Hagler. Sugar Ray Robinson moving to middleweight to win world titles. He wants to be a great. And in British boxing at the moment, the problem you've got, and it ain't a problem actually, it's great news for the fans. If you become a world champion, in the old days, you're a superstar. It was an incredible achievement. Now, you get a pat on the back and you say, welcome to the club, son. But now, you've got to do something great to stand out, to become a superstar. You know, you've got to do what Tyson Fury did and beat, you know, the unified heavyweight champion of the world. You've got to do maybe what Anthony Joshua had done and take a fight in his 16th fight. Carl Frampton going over to America and beating Santa Cruz. Anthony Crolla trying to unify against Jorge Linares. Kell Brook moving up 2 divisions to fight the most feared man on the planet. That's how you become a great. Used to be British champion, and you could walk down your town and get mobbed. Now as a fighter, if you're a British champion, your commercial value means very little in the British sport of boxing. Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean we're not going to push you to the world championship heights, but the game has changed, and you have to do something special to become the man. And this is what Kell Brook's trying to do, and this is what other fighters in Britain are trying to do. And this is great news for British boxing.
What might you add to that card as chief support?
Well, it's difficult because, you know, the expectancy now of fight fans. I mean, I'll give you an example. In Leeds on Saturday, the first televised fight, so the 4th fight of the card, was Tommy Coyle against Tyrone Nurse. Brilliant fight, fantastic fight. Probably 18 months ago, that could have headlined a Saturday night fight night. Yeah? So the expectancy of fight fans has gone through the roof. So already on Kell Brook against Golovkin, we have a domestic world title fight rematch between Stuart Hall and Lee Haskins for the world bantamweight title. You've got Charlie Edwards in his 9th fight, fighting a 2-weight world champion, John Riel Casimero. And you've got Conor Benn and you've got Martin Ward against Andy Townend for the British. And people are saying, no, ain't a very good card, is it? You know? So we've got to add another 3 fights, probably. 1 big fight, and a couple of other big names.
Will you add another world title fight to it or not?
Possibly. But you know, we've already got 3 world title fights on the card.
You need like some British beef.
Yeah.
Like good, like maybe heavyweight class. But when will you complete that card?
Probably this week. I think, you know, it's only 6 weeks to go. Listen, we're planning. We've got so many fighters we've got to service. It's really difficult. Every fighter phoning up saying, when am I on? What's my date? And you know, I think everybody's got the same problem. I mean, you know, I had to sit down with Queensbury Promotions. We had a good 2-hour chinwag. I think, you know, we're saying to each other, we've all got the same problems. Purses have gone through the roof. Great news for fighters. You know, and it's a tough business. And if you're not prepared and you haven't got the ability, you're gonna be finished in the game. And you know, I think you're going to see a lot of consolidation worldwide in the boxing market over the next 12 months. I think people are getting themselves into games they can't play. And you've got to be smart and you've got to be ready for taking chances as a promoter, but being able to deliver and having the substance to survive. Don't know where that come from.
It's good.
Thanks, mate. I really appreciate that.
That's good.
Thanks.
Santa Cruz, Frampton,
Great win.
Great win. Carl Frampton
I think
becoming
some
a 2-weight
people
world
think
champion.
that I've got a voodoo doll of Carl Frampton and like a needle, and you know, I actually, and not because it was on BoxNation, I just haven't watched the fight yet. But I did wake up and I was following it on Twitter constantly, and you know, the 12th round come, most felt Frampton nicked it, but I was thinking, but maybe people think I'm lying, but I'm delighted for Carl Frampton. And although Shane McGuigan likes to call me a prick behind my back, he's a great trainer, and he's proving to be a great trainer. And Barry McGuigan and me will never see eye to eye. But when I see the emotion, when they got the decision, all the clips going around on Twitter of that final moments, I've been there, I know what it's like, I know how it feels. And there's no better feeling. So I'm pleased for them, genuinely pleased for them. And, you know, we look now, I won't go into too much deep info, but the Quigg rematch, in our opinion, has to happen. So we're pushed for that fight at featherweight. And, of course, you've got the Selby fight, potentially. I know they said there wasn't a Santa Cruz rematch, but I'm pretty sure there will be a Santa Cruz rematch. And if I was Santa Cruz, I'd be saying, okay, please give me the date for the rematch. It was a voluntary defence, and it was a huge fight, brilliant fight, rated probably well. So give me the date. But everyone will be hedging now for a shot.
So you think more likely Frampton's next fight will be the rematch with Santa Cruz?
Well, we believe we're in line for that rematch. And again, I won't go into too much about that, and don't ask me another question on it, but that's our position. And I think Santa Cruz may well have a rematch clause as well. I think Selby should be knocking on our Heyman's door and saying, I've had 2 fights in 15 months. This is a perfect chance for you to make a big fight between me and Frampton. You know, I think the Selby-Frampton fight is a brilliant fight. You know, people come to me and say, that's a huge pay-per-view fight. It's not. You know, we know the Frampton-Quigg numbers were solid but very unspectacular. But Frampton has gone to the next level now. You know, he's done what I talked about earlier, to become a great. And I think it's very difficult to say someone's a great until they retire, but I think that performance and that achievement from Frampton probably puts him on that level. You know, where you can look back and say, look what I did. I went to New York and beat Leo Santa Cruz. You know, and the rematch next time, I think great support from the Irish. And I think next time they could penetrate the Irish support market on the East Coast even better. Probably open the top tier at the Brooklyn, at the centre, because they don't realise the atmosphere the British fight fans create. And Belfast and Northern Irish fans create a wonderful atmosphere. And there were people tweeting like Dan Raphael going, wow, the atmosphere in here is crazy. And it's like, mate, were you at Quigg Frampton? This is what they do. This is what British fans do. They create atmosphere. And I think Leo Santa Cruz couldn't believe it as well, because he was expecting probably to have the support. But, you know, I think massive respect to Carl Frampton. Total hats off to him, to Shane, to Barry. I think it's a wonderful achievement.
Does Frampton's win affect your plans with Josh Warrington?
No, I mean, Josh is in a good position in that he's #1 in the WBC, he's got a huge fan base, he's got support from Sky, he wants a Selby fight, okay? Now, he could have had the Selby fight on July the 30th, his team felt that it wasn't the right time for him. Have we missed the boat? Maybe, but we've only missed the boat if Lee Selby gets the Frampton fight. And with the Quigg situation and with the Santa Cruz situation, I'm not sure he will. But if he does, then Josh had his chance and we'll find him another world title fight. But, you know, I know that Selby's waiting on a date, and that is a way to deliver him a fight quicker than, you know, we could sign that fight this week. But if I'm Lee Selby right now, what I'm thinking is, right, I've only boxed twice in 15 months, give me the Frampton fight.
That's a good fight.
Good fight. There's so many good fights out there. Every division now, like domestically, there are so many great fights to make. It's just whether they happen or not. There you got 2 guys, you know, he's got one more fight with me. Again, there are 3, probably more broadcasters right now looking at the pay-per-view model. So it doesn't have to be on Sky. You know, if the deal's right for everybody, who knows?
Okay, I know you've got to ask Sky.
Well, for you, old boy, you know.
But major cue for IFL London today.
Getting Barney Francis. It was quite funny. He said to me that you said to him, you know, so how well do you think talk about this exclusive deal with Matchroom? He's like, look, don't go there. All I can tell you is British boxing's in a great place, and it is. And what people don't know about Barney Francis is when boxing was in a terrible place, which was about 5 years ago, it would have been so easy for them to elbow boxing out. And luckily, the timing came around where we just rolled the dice a little bit. Brook against Hatton, do you remember?
Yeah.
Ward of Roses, 10,000 people at Sheffield Arena. They couldn't believe it. Frotch against Butte. And they started seeing some numbers and saying, this works. Big arenas, big fights, works. And that is when he put his faith in me and Matchroom to deliver. And 4 or 5 years on, and many years of contracts on and exclusivity, we're stronger than ever. So it has been a wonderful relationship. And I say time and time again, all these broadcasters that are now looking at boxing, Five, ITV, Dave, BoxNation, BoxNation different, Frank's been around for donkeys. All of a sudden, they like it. They like a bit of boxing. Oh, it looks good. Oh, wow. Sky have been there from the start. They've continuously backed the sport for years and years and years. So I think they deserve credit. And I know they always get stick and we get stick, doesn't matter. But I'm telling you now, without Sky, British boxing would not be in this position at all. In fact, it might be dead. Not dead, because it's a great sport and it'll always be there, but maybe commercially dead.
Eddie Hearn. Does Barney don't really do interviews, does he?
When you went up to him earlier and went, what? And I went, Kugan, I don't know if you know Barney. And Barney goes, yeah. He goes, sometimes I find myself listening to him. That was me, in the bath. Which is great for you. The head of Sky Sports is in the bath watching me. I mean, so I'm a bit worried about Barney. I have to call him later about that. But, that's the reach that you're getting. Everyone watches your... You know when you put up a video of me, all the other promoters are watching, like, probably going, wanker, wanker. But everyone watches your stuff because, you know, if you do a Warren piece, eventually I want to watch it. So I want to know what he's planning, what he's thinking, and how mental he's going. You know, but I'm waiting for the rant. But you might see a few fights between me and old Frankie boy. You never know. Not as in me and him, but our stables. Because I think, you know, I mean, we've got the Olympics coming up. Every Olympian's going to come on to me after the Olympics and say, sign me up. So, fun and games, old boy.
We've got 7 seconds left on this card.
September 10th, O2 Arena, #1 middleweight, #1 welterweight, 36-0, 35-0. We out.